Soccer? Football? It doesn't matter. The game we love has many nuances. Stories, great plays, incredible goals, glorious victories, titles, defeats, smiles, tears, love, and, of course, hatred. On a football field, we can experience a wide range of emotions. And not everything that happens within that space stays there. Often, it spills out. Today, The Beautiful Fever presents Players Who Hate Each Other. World Cup. It was the last game of Zinedine Zidane's career, who had announced months earlier that he would retire after the World Cup. Zidane scored the first goal for France with a Panenka penalty. Materazzi equalized with a header for Italy. These two players were at the center of the most impactful scene of that game. In overtime, after a clash in the area, Materazzi and Zidane had a confrontation. The French number 10 said he would give his shirt to the defender after the game. Materazzi responded, "I'd prefer your sister." Italy won the match on penalties, claiming their fourth World Cup. To this day, Zidane and Materazzi remain enemies. The former Italian defender says he made the comment just to provoke and destabilize the Frenchman. However, Zidane revealed years later that his reaction was influenced by his mother's serious illness, as his sister, Laila, was caring for her in the hospital. Shortly before the final, he had spoken with his brother on the phone, and the emotional stress caused him to lose focus and attack the Italian. Despite everything, Zidane admitted he would rather die than speak to Materazzi again. The second case involves the biggest classic in English football, Manchester United versus Liverpool. More precisely, October 15, 2011, at Anfield Road, Liverpool's home ground. The final score? Liverpool won. Manchester United won. Gerrard and Chicharito Hernandez scored the goals. But the fight we will talk about happened more precisely in the 57th minute of the game. After some clashes between fullback Patrice Evra and striker Luis Suarez, who now plays for Inter Miami in MLS, the French defender told the match referee that he had been racially abused by the Uruguayan striker, who promptly denied the accusation. The next day, Suarez took to social media to say he had not committed the act. But a little over a month later, Suarez was found guilty, receiving a fine of £40,000 and an 8-match suspension. The reunion between the two happened on February 11, 2012 at Old Trafford. During the players' handshake, Evra extended his hand to greet Suarez, who ignored him. The Frenchman was outraged, but Suarez continued to ignore Evra. Amid the confusion, Rio Ferdinand, a United defender, refused to shake the Uruguayan's hand. The game ended with a Manchester United victory with 2 goals from Wayne Rooney, who celebrated exuberantly alongside Patrice Evra, who again tried to speak to Suarez but was ignored. Suarez has never apologized for the incident, claiming to this day that he did not commit the act against Evra, saying it was not heard the way Evra described it according to his biography. However, he admits that refusing to shake the Frenchman's hand was a mistake. To this day, they do not speak. In this third case, we need to travel to Brazil, which will also feature heavily in future videos. This story happened in 2000 when Romário, who won the World Cup for Brazil in the United States in 1994, returned to play for Vasco da Gama in Rio de Janeiro after a few years playing for Flamengo. At that time, Vasco's star player was Edmundo, another great idol of the fans and team captain. The players, who were very good friends in the past, had a falling out a few years earlier and became enemies. With Romário's return to Vasco, Edmundo was annoyed by the privilege that the club's president, Eurico Miranda, gave to number 11, Romário's number.
O jogo de hoje é mais um capítulo na rivalidade de dois craques do futebol brasileiro. Dois craques que esse ano duelaram dentro de campo e principalmente pelos microfones. Primeiro, a braçadeira de capitão. Era de Edmundo, foi para Romário e pronto.
Estava dentro da minha casa, chegou uma outra pessoa e dormiu na minha cama.
Um pênalti. Edmundo queria bater. Romário disse não e o reino de São Januário conheceu seus personagens.
Só eu que estava treinando os pênaltis, mas quem manda é o homem. E o homem quer que bata o príncipe, eu não tenho culpa.
No intervalo você chegou a se referir ao Romário como príncipe. Se ele é o príncipe, quem é o rei, Edmundo?
O Eurico. É isso aí, agora a corte está toda feliz, o rei, o príncipe e o bobo.
The situation culminated in Edmundo leaving Vasco to play for Santos, Pelé's former club in Brazil. That year, Romário scored 71 goals for Vasco, and Edmundo scored 30 goals, combining his numbers for Vasco and Santos. Since then, their friendship has been marked by ups and downs. At times, everything is fine, and at other times, they hate each other. Currently, they are in a phase of hatred. Romário said Edmundo is a pain in the ass, and Edmundo challenged Romário to a boxing match like Logan Paul and Mike Tyson. This case is much more recent, involving two very famous players today, Kylian Mbappé and Neymar. This story took place behind the scenes of Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, in France, the club they both played for some time ago. It all started in 2017 when PSG paid the release clause to buy Neymar from Barcelona for 222 million euros, making him the club's star player for the next few years. With Neymar as the star, the club's management decided to build a team around him with the best players possible. One of these players was Mbappé, who was a Monaco player and only 18 at the time. To sign the striker from their faint rival, they paid 180 million euros. When he arrived at PSG, Mbappé said he would do everything to help Neymar shine with his new team. But in 2018, Mbappé won the World Cup with his national team, and his status within PSG began to change. A relationship that started with a good friendship between them ended up creating a conflict of egos and a fight for privilege within the club. Despite several national titles, PSG's main project was to win the UEFA Champions League, which never happened, and all that involved the club in the headlines of websites, television, and newspapers were internal conflicts. The relationship between Neymar and Mbappé became untenable over the seasons, with the Frenchman's increasing prominence within the club. Not even the arrival of Lionel Messi in 2021 reduced the tension. In fact, it worsened the situation, creating factions within the squad: Neymar, Messi, and their friends versus Mbappé and his friends. Mbappe's last contract renewal with PSG gave him even more privilege within the club. With greater influence, the French striker began requesting player signings and departures. This happened last season when Neymar was sold to Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, and Messi went to Inter Miami. Mbappé requested other players to replace them and was promptly attended to, with the promise of a new contract renewal. Even though PSG met his demands, Mbappé opted not to renew his contract with the club and was recently introduced at Real Madrid. This story also created a rift between the player and PSG. Neymar, on the other hand, enjoys liking posts on social media that make fun of Mbappé. In one of them, he responded by saying, "Foreigner sucker." Neymar only left PSG at Mbappe's request, and Mbappé left PSG a year later, even with the promise of renewing his contract with the club. So, tell me in the comments if you knew these stories or if you know any others that we should cover in the future here on The Beautiful Fever. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and see you in the next video.